Hi, hello everyone. We are waiting for, let's say, another minute so people start coming in. And then we'll kick off. Okay, more and more people are coming in. Meanwhile, as always, please drop your questions in the Q&A section and any other comments in the chat. This way we don't lose any valuable questions that Dina can answer at the end. And yeah, let's give it a minute.
For anyone that's joined us, tell us where you are calling from in the chat. One of my favorite things to find out.
Exactly. Just let us know where are you from or where are you joining us from or how is the weather there, because me and Dina are in different countries, different weather by ourselves.
Yeah, it is miserable here. I'm in London. It's grey, it's raining, it's misery. Oh, the chat is disabled, Lucia.
Oh,
thank you, Anna.
Thank you for letting us know.
Awesome.
Okay, now it should work. Let's see them popping up. Yes, perfect. Thank you for letting us know.
Lucia, I think it's not to everyone. I think it's just to hosts and panelists at the moment. I'll read out what I'm seeing. So we've got from Egypt, someone from Barcelona, living in Brussels, but it's cold and grey. Amsterdam, well done, you've got it, to everyone. Netherlands, brilliant. Oh, such an international crowd. Switzerland, Amsterdam, Germany, Czechia, living in Netherlands. I love that, you expats. I'm from, yeah, because how do you answer that question? Where are you from? I'm originally from Russia, but I'm living in London. So yeah, which from do you want to know? Milan, Netherlands, Amsterdam.
Milan, oh, nice.
Has anyone got good weather? Egypt, have you got good weather?
Yeah, also Barcelona, probably.
Got Hungary as well. Yeah, it's sunny in Egypt. Some of you have got the Lucia. I can see a lot of hosts and panelists. Okay.
Yeah, guys, so if you go to your chat, to the options right above your little chat when you can write, you have an options there that says to hosts and panelists or to everyone. Our advice is to switch it to everyone. This way everyone can see your comments and we can start a discussion in the chat. So please just switch that.
Yeah. Surprising weather in the Netherlands today. In Amsterdam, the sun is always shining. Oh. Lucia, they're not seeing it, and I don't think I am as well. The option to chat to everyone. I wonder why that's not showing.
That is interesting.
It's interesting.
Okay, I will figure that out. But meanwhile, I think it's good for us to start and give the floor to Dina. I will repeat again, if you have any questions for Dina, please drop them in the Q&A so she can answer all of them at the end of the session. If you have any other kind of comments for me, for the Growth Tribe team, or just answering random stuff that Dina says throughout her talk, please drop them in the chat. Meanwhile, I will try to figure out how we can do this little setup so everyone can see everyone's comments in the chat.
Yeah.
And I will give the floor to Dina. Actually, I think she's the best to introduce herself and let you guys know what's her expertise and what is she gonna talk about today.
All right. Do you know what? So hi everyone, I'm Dina. Whilst you figure out the chat, so I was going to start with actually questions, but now that we don't have the chat, I'm just going to go into introducing myself. So let me go here, and then we'll go back to these questions because I want to hear you guys answer them. By the way, I am just coming out of being ill with a chest infection. So there will be coughing, but not too much. But when I do cough, just chat amongst yourselves, but don't look at your phone. Don't disappear. So I'll introduce myself. So I'm a life and career coach, and this is my training. There are about 1,000,001 coaches out there at the moment. It's a growing industry, and sometimes it's quite hard to pick from which coach that you want to work with. And that's why I kind of share my background. And I am in love with psychology. I love psychology, all types of it. I've got a degree and a master's. Positive psychology is my kind of speciality, and basically anything to do with people, research, evidence-based studies, I absolutely love. Who I work with and how I help. So I work with full-timers, part-timers, freelancers, with a wide variety of people, so self-employed creatives, basically anyone who's stuck in a decision about what to do next in their career. So mostly I focus on career, but because I'm a life and career coach, I also include life. And I see stuckness as an opportunity to self-development, to upgrade our thinking, to gain life skills. So I don't see stuck as come in, let's talk about it, and like get unstuck. I say, let's work and improve your thinking and life skills and all of that. So I take my clients through a process, which I will share with you, and it gives them the confidence and courage and clarity they need to go about their dream life. So this is a talk about change, and I've been through change. I've changed professions, I've changed industries. I've worked in luxury, in academia, in professional services, in hospitality. I've changed how I work, 9 to 5 to part-time, full-time, part-time, freelance contract, self-employed. I've changed homes. So I'm originally from Russia. I moved to the UK when I was 6, and I've also done a stint in Argentina and Spain. So I also know what it's like to change, to go to a country where you don't know anyone, where you don't know the language. I can see from the chat that we've got quite an international crowd. And so because of that, I also attract quite an international clientele base, because it's important sometimes, you know, that your coach knows what it's like. And I've changed my mindset. I used to overthink, I was full of anxiety, fearful, perfectionist. Now I'm calm, I'm a risk taker, and I'm an optimist. So that is me. Hopefully the chat has been fixed. And you can tell me just a little bit about yourself. Can you tell me in the chat, and if it's just to host empowerment, I'll still read it out, what change are you going through or you're thinking about making? I can't even see the chat now, Lucia. Oh, wait. Why can't I see the chat? Hold on. Lucia, I can't see the chat at all.
In your upper part of the screen, you should see chat.
Yeah.
Questions coming in.
It's so weird. I press it and nothing happens. Let me stop sharing and see if I can get it here. Yeah, I can get it here if I stop sharing. Interesting. Anyway, okay, so, okay, wonderful. What change? Career work, working in a new country, career change. I would say, glad. New job that we've got, wonderful. Dealing with perfectionism, overthinking, hello. Building my own business, so that's the change. Career change and potentially home. We've got resigned, starting my own company, also career change. Trying to find a meaningful job, wonderful. Trying not to get burned out whilst transitioning to another job, yes. Move away from business analyst to change consultant. Looking for a new job. Oh, perfect. You guys are in the right place. Wonderful. So my next question is, what would help you navigate that change? What would help you make that change? What would help make that change easier? What would help make that change easier? All right, Asma, right in there, trying to stand up from all my failures. So bouncing back. Confidence, Claudia, thank you. Not being afraid, fear, Dora, thank you. Clear steps, planning, yes. The right actions, Anna. How do we know it's right? Yes. Anymore. What would make it easier? Consistency. Learning how to deal with stress, getting used to a new situation without getting tired. Financial security, confidence and self-esteem, focus on what to pursue. Wonderful, guys, we're all on the right page. I'm sorry, guys. What? something is up that I haven't had before. I've done so many Zoom things. Can you guys see my screen? Lucia, because yeah,
it's popping up. I think it's still loading right now.
because I can't, it says my screen sharing is paused. That's so weird. Okay, something is happening. Let me stop. And this is so weird. I've never had this before. Okay. Let me try a different route. Okay. I think now you can see it.
Yes, now it works. Perfect.
Right. You can do Zoom a million times over and then it just suddenly doesn't. Okay. So I normally work with career changes, and these are the things that people say that they want help with. So probably kind of what you guys have been mentioning. So clarity on the next step. I work a lot with people who know that they want to make a change, but they're not clear on what it is, what will make them happy. And someone said, is it a new job, or is it a new place, a new home? Is it a new industry? So what people want is clarity. They also want to make the confidence to make the change, because what happens is when you're thinking in your head about change, but you haven't done anything out there, you can lose confidence within yourself. You can start questioning yourself and thinking, can I even make the change? So confidence would help. A roadmap for how to do it. Everyone wants to know the how. So the steps. Help with time management, but really it's not so much with time management, it's how to not burn out. Also sometimes how to not procrastinate. And certainty that it will work out. A lot of people don't voice it. They might say it jokingly, but they're like, I just want to know I'm doing the right thing. So in this webinar, I'll help with most of them, but not maybe in the way that you're expecting. Definitely not with time management. I'm going to do something different. Also, I'm going to say, don't fixate on certainty. So certainty, if you just fixate on like, I'm not going to take action, I'm not going to make any changes until I'm certain, then it robs you of personal growth. Because learning to take action despite uncertainty, despite, within uncertainty, not knowing everything, is the kind of the life skills and the upgrade that we're looking for. Because it means that you start taking risk. It means you have to start to learn to critically evaluate the information you see. You have to learn who to talk to, who to listen to and who not to listen to, and you learn to trust your own judgment. That's what change kind of is, the opportunity in change, and that's what we can do. Okay, and roadmap, I'm not going to tell you how to do it because that's all part of the journey, but I will give you quite a few roadmaps and share quite a few roadmaps with you. As you can see, I'm going to give you a brief glimpse of roadmaps. How are we doing time? And two main roadmaps, and then I'm going to zone in onto two kind of snagging points around change. Right at the beginning, getting clarity, because sometimes we're just confused, and then not confused, we find it hard to make a decision, and therefore we're kind of in limbo, going back and forth. And then managing the transition, that kind of the first step. So here I'm going to talk about fear, and here about confidence and things like that. And then managing time right at the end, which will be ironic. I hope I don't. I hope I don't overrun. We now know each other. So I'm going to talk about the roadmap that helped me, but first, I'm going to share two other roadmaps. So there are actual roadmaps of change and how to go about change. We're going to be talking about the change that you initiate, and it's about your life and career. But there are other roadmaps out there, and I'm just going to signpost them because they might be useful to you either now, later, or to your friends. And one of them is when change happens to you. So the company you're in is changing. Going through redundancies or things like that. So William Bridges, I think. Yeah, William Bridges. He was a kind of a change consultant, and he said that there's three kind of chapters that we go through. And it's different to normal change because change is external. When change is happening around you in a company, merging and things like that. But the transition piece is internal. It's the inner psychological process that we go for when we have to come to terms with what has been imposed on us. So that's a whole different kind of change that we have to navigate. And it's different because we don't start with the outcome. So normally with change, we go, I want to do this. I want to get here. We got the outcome. But with this one, we start with the endings. We start with losing, like acknowledging what we're losing, talking about it, letting go, celebrating what has been achieved. And really the Bridges transition model is something that your company, if you run a company, your company should read up on and manage with a change consultant or coach and to take you through these stages. So when a change has been imposed on you, also through divorce as well, endings, you have to say goodbye, make peace, acknowledge, and really take time to process those feelings, and then going into neutral zone and not hopping into new beginning. We can't go from endings to new beginnings. There will be a time of limbo. The other change model, really, really famous one, Prochaska and DeClement model from the 80s, and this is when you're quitting smoking, basically. So this is any behavioral change, and it's used really widely by healthcare providers for quitting smoking, cutting down on drinking, or also taking up a new behavior. So this one might be good for you for January. These are the stages that we all go through. So I'll run you through. If it's smoking, I'll make it modern. Vaping, pre-contemplation stage, no intention on changing behavior. It might be a little bit of a denial. Vaping's not that bad, that kind of thing. Contemplation stage, okay, maybe vaping is that good, but I don't know. I might quit one day. Preparation is when you are like, okay, I'm going to quit, I'm going to do it, and then you take the action. And then you have to maintain it, and maybe you do relapse, but if you do, it's an upward spiral. And give you a clue onto like how good roadmaps are. They tell you what happens at each stage and what you need to get to the next stage. So for example, if you're in the contemplation stage, what happens here is you've got a problem, but you don't have the confidence or information to take a step forward. So what will help is confidence, information, and for the healthcare provider, if you're working with someone, to instill hope, help you overcome subconscious blocks, beliefs that you can't do it, and talking about the ideal future scenario. So I just wanted to signpost you to other change maps out there, but I'm going to share with you the roadmap that really helped me. So this was shared with me by my supervisor. I was going through my master's. So I was doing a master's, which was 2.5 years part-time. I was working 4 days a week. And then every third weekend, I'd spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 5 at university, which was about an hour and a half away. So each time I had to do that. So I was balancing. And then when I wasn't at university, I was just reading, writing a dissertation. So lots of reading, writing, all of that. This map, well, he didn't share this exact one, but it was very, very similar. My supervisor shared with me, and he said, this is what to expect. And this is the emotional journey of creating anything great. He said, I'll run you through as if it's a dissertation. He said, at the beginning, you're like, this is amazing. There's novelty. You're going to meet new people. You're going to be learning something new. Like, there's novelty, and it's really fun. Then, after the novelty wears off, and you can see it dips a little bit. Okay, this is harder than I thought. And then you're like, oh my God, I've got to do so much reading. I'm not going to have a social life for 2 years. Those kind of things are going to run through your mind. And then you're like, oh my God, what was I even thinking? So then I slipped right into, this is going to be a lot of work. I have no idea what I'm doing. I slipped right into the swamp of despair, pretty much 3 months into it. Definitely by January, I was like, what was I thinking? Why did my family not stop me from doing this master's and doing it part-time? So he said, this is to be expected. You will be in the swamp of despair, having your confidence crisis and doubting yourself, but you will get through it as long as you keep on taking the steps and trusting the process. I can't tell you how much that helped me. Knowing at the beginning that when I crash, when there's a swamp of despair, that it's not me, I haven't made the wrong decision, even though my mind went there. But knowing that everyone goes through this, no one has a plain sailing path, and that all I have to do is keep on taking a step forward. So roadmaps are really great on what to expect. I wonder if my chat's still working. No, for some reason, when I click chat, nothing pops up. So I'm sorry I can't communicate with you on this during I was talking. But if you have any questions, then put them in the Q&A. I was going to ask whether, well, I can ask and then you can answer amongst yourselves. But who's in the swamp of despair? Where are you guys now? So yes, what helped was that now this particular, so he didn't share this exact cycle, but it was quite similar. He said, what over here it says, what helps is belief and persistence. Perseverance and persistence helps. Keep on taking action. That definitely really helps. I won't say belief. For me, it's clarity. And I'll tell you what kind of clarity, but mainly clarity on why you're doing this, why you're making the change, for sure. So I'm going to go into clarity, but if you are in some sort of despair, just keep on taking action. And the phrase trust the process, oh my God, that stayed with me. And I wrote it on my notebook. And every time I just opened it up, I'm like, trust the process, trust the process. This happens, I'll get through it. And by the end of it, you know, you get to the bit where it said, this is one of the things I'm most proud of. And it really definitely was clarity. Let me tell you about clarity. Everything I do with my clients is based on clarity. When we have it, we can do all of this. It helps us overcome a decision. So the beginning, when we're trying to make the change and we're deciding, we're unclear. So if you take time to get clear on certain things, and I'm going to share everything with you, it helps you get unstuck and get you into action. When you get into the swamp of despair, when there's a confidence crisis, if you're clear on why you're doing this, then it's like you've got this lighthouse beacon when you're like, I'm going to get through this. And it makes you continue taking action and not fold in on yourself. Clarity gives you determination and perseverance, especially if you've clarified your vision for a better future, a better life. Prevents you from wasting time with indecision, because if you're clear and you're like, I'm just going to do this, then you don't think, oh, should I have done that or should I not? Like the regret. I think someone did mention regret, which we'll get to as well. And it really helps with self-awareness. So what do you need to be clear on? Oh, one thing before that. So I know for some clarity, some things you'll get clear on as you're taking action and that you can't get clear on ahead of time, but other things you can be clear on. And these are questions that we're going to get clear on. So annoying about the chat, never mind. So what you need to be clear on are these things. Now you can answer them as we go along, either privately or in the chat, but I'm going to go through them. So why are you making this change? And in particular, it's what are you leaving behind, right? So what will be better because you're making this change? So what you're leaving behind, some people just make a change and don't think about what they want to be different. And so what happens is they end up taking their old baggage into their new place and then wondering why it's the same, why things are the same. So if you get intentional and say, I said, this is a new chapter, I'm going to be leaving this behind, or like making attempts to leave behind these things, behaviors, maybe people or thoughts. I call them gremlins, and we're going to talk about that. What do you want to be different? And this is what you want to create, really. So really getting clear on that vision. Like, what do you want to create with this change? Getting really intentional about that. What do you want? Why do you want this and not something else? And why this method and this route? So for me, I had to answer why coaching and not counseling or therapy, and why a master's and not a commercial training place for coaching. And I wanted the answer I just wanted the answer, right? I was like, I just want to find out what coach training I want to do and just get it done with. But I spent about 6 months looking and deciding, going on open days. And at the moment, you're just like, oh, I want clarity. But that whole process on what method, what route, or why do you want this and not something else, that comparison piece, when you go through it, it gives you insight. Like I said, that kind of clarity aids self-awareness, gives you insight onto your values and your strengths and how you're different. And so that really informed me who I am. I wasn't going to be a commercially trained coaching school. I wanted it to be grounded in science. I wanted my coach training to be evidence-based, because that was kind of my ethics and my principles. And so going through that process of saying, why this route, why not that? And you do this, you can do this with career change as well. Why this and why not that? So comparison really brings out a lot of clarity. Why now? Bring in urgency. Because if you don't answer that, then you will procrastinate. Then there will be a little voice that be like, you know, now's not a good time. And if you listen to that voice, a change won't happen. So this is my method that I take my clients through when we're changing careers or making any kind of change. Because when people want to make change, they want to make a change. And when they're working with a career coach, especially or a life coach, you want to make it meaningful. And by meaningful, I mean, you want to make it long lasting so that you're not like just having to make a change every 2-3 months or 6 months or something. You want to make a change, get to really know yourself, and then kind of cruise on until the next kind of level that you want to go through. So that's why I make it a thorough process. So we really get clear. We work on your inner gremlins and the self-mastery bit. So that's what we do. The clarity that will help you, those questions help you, but they also, the clarity you want is you want to get clear on your strengths, your values, your vision, and your interests. And then you want to use this opportunity to work on your inner critic limiting beliefs so that you're not taking those things into the next chapter. And then self-mastery is the next piece, where it's just what, like the advanced kind of work, like growing your tribe and really serving and collaborating and like going out. So these are clarity pillars that you could also journal on, reflect on, that will help you with clarity. And like I said, clarity is really important because when you're making change, you will doubt yourself. You will doubt what you're doing. And if you've got clear on that, you can always come back to it. Everyone I know, I've got a lot of my circle of self-employed people. Everyone has a confidence crisis, some once a year, some once a week. And they wonder if they're doing the right thing. But when they go back to the values, they're like, hang on a second, this is important to me. Then it keeps them going and reminds them why they're doing it. What life do you want to create? So I had to go through these when I was doing my master's. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be self-employed because of my values, which I figured out. Freedom to work with who I want, when I want, my schedule, all of those things, and strengths, to working out the strengths. What do I like doing, and do I want to do more of this, especially with career change when you're doing that. So, for example, I don't like small talk. Never really excelled in the office around small talk. I love deep conversations. I love finding out about people, their stories, their journey, like just everything about them. And so I made a career out of it because that's what you do in coaching. So if you work through those, then what you're doing, the change that you're making is going to be so super clear to you, and you can just get on with making the change. Like I said, change is an opportunity. What do you want to leave behind? So many people I work with, when they feel stuck, and it's because they've made peace with these gremlins. Now, I'm just going to use a blanket version called gremlins. You can say thoughts. It's things like their perfectionism, their inner critic. They hear this voice that constantly criticizes them or whatever, and they've just made peace with it being there. And that's what keeps us stuck. And it also means that our options sometimes are limited, because that voice will say, you're not good enough, right? What do you think about changing countries or like changing careers or industries? And that voice will keep us small and keep your potential locked up. So it's an opportunity to spot those voices and work on them. So sadly, I can't see the chat, so I won't be able to see your answers, but do yourself, what gremlins do you want to leave behind? Now, gremlins are addictions as well, like TV addictions. It's also inner critic, perfectionism, comparison, constantly comparing yourself, fear of success, fear of failure, judging yourself, low self-esteem, not enough self-belief, and other things like, for example, I remember being like, well, I want to have like a more colorful life. Like when I was just working kind of 9 to 5 in the jobs that I had, there were some fun bits, but I was like, I want to speak. And for me to do that, so my vision was like, I want to speak and I want to teach and I want to do this. But for me to get there, I had to work on my low self-esteem, because I was like, I don't believe I can. Work on self-esteem, work on visibility, and work on kind of identity as well. So have a think about what gremlins you want to leave behind. Okay. how you work on them, honestly, awareness is everything. A lot of people discount this small exercise because they're like, what, just what, I notice them and I write them down? Like, that's not going to change them. Oh my God, it is. Just being aware of it is. So notice your thoughts, oh my God, and write them down. Like, you'll have a list of like, okay, these are the thoughts I have. And then you'll suddenly become more aware of them. And then once you've got awareness, you have space. So in the moment when you think about them, you're like, oh, do I want to be thinking that? What's something else that I want to think instead? What's something else I want to believe? So just starting here. If you want to delve in deeper with that and really start working them, then take that list that you have to a therapist or a coach, easy as. And then you have concentrated work that you're going to be doing. Okay, now managing the transition. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite roadmaps, the hero's journey. I do a whole webinar on it, so I have to really condense my excitement into this. So I don't know if you've heard about the hero's journey. You might have in passing, but I'll let you know what it is. It comes from a book that was written by Joseph Campbell, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And Joseph Campbell read thousands, not hundreds, thousands of stories. So myths, folklore, urban legends, all the religious texts out there. And when he did, he noticed that there's the same pattern kept on repeating, like the same steps. And he was like, why are all these stories kind of like, there's the same story that is just passed down to us through like generation, you know, different countries, they still have a version of the hero's journey. And so he went on a quest to find out why, and he looked and he delved into psychology and Carl Jung at the time, and he was like, oh, okay, I know why. This story is repeated to us, the hero's journey, so that it's kind of like it's a roadmap for our self-actualization. So this is, if you go on this journey, you will self-actualize. You will become the hero that not only is the hero that's in there, but the hero our world needs. And everyone and every generation needs heroes. So these are the 12 steps. Order your world, all of that, call to adventure, things like that. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go into it because I have a whole webinar on this. But what I love about this roadmap, which is different, very different, or different to all the other change processes, change methodology, is it has one step that the others don't, with the others it's implied, they don't actually mention it, but here they mention it. Step number 4, meeting the mentor. All these stories, you think about it, Star Wars, you've got Yoda, Matrix, we've got that dude, whatever his name is, Morpheus, right? And all those kind of stories, Lion King, there's also that mentor, I forget the names of it, and Harry Potter, or you've got a mentor. You're not meant to do it alone. Change is hard and it's scary. You're not meant to do it alone. No hero does it alone. The other change maps I've shown you, they kind of take you through what change to expect, and they imply that you can get help, but they don't actually say, go seek help, whereas the hero's journey does. So it's one of the things I love about it. So I'm going to use some of the hero's journey, but not all of them, because there's 12 steps. I'm going to focus in on the steps 3 to 6. So like I said, these are the kind of the outward steps of what you do. Crossing the threshold is you kind of committing to change. I'll show you. That's the outer journey, and then this is the inner journey. So 3, which is refusal of the call, is fear, resistance. 4, meeting the mentor, is overcoming fear. You overcome fear with people. You don't do it alone. Committing to change and then experimenting with new conditions. So we're going to dig into these ones. When you're managing transition, fear will come knocking. For sure, you're coming out of your comfort zone, you're going into the unknown, and your mind, your survival brain is going to be like, no, don't go there. So these are the things that will help you along the way. Especially when we leave a job, how many of you are thinking and focusing on what you're losing? I'm going to lose my friends, I'm going to lose my flexibility, a lot of my clients, you know, they get to a certain level where they have a lot of freedom because they've been in a job for quite a while. I'm going to lose my flexibility. I'll lose the salary. And if I change, you know, if I change industries, I will have to take a pay cut. And so you're focusing on what you're losing. Now, psychologically, loss is experienced twice as painful to us as pleasure. I always get this wrong, but basically we have a loss aversion, where, for example, if someone knocked and gave you 50 euros, you'd be happy. You'd be like, oh, thank you, that's really great. And I don't know, a scale of 1 to 10 on happiness, you might be, I don't know, 4, maybe 5, or I don't think you would be 10 out of 10, right? But if someone came in and took 50 off you, the rage you'd be going off would be maybe 10 out of 10, but 9 or 8 out of 10. So there have been studies done, and our loss is way more painful, way more acute than pleasure. So what you have to do is work with the brain's cognitive biases, with the loss aversion. So you have to really forcefully think about what you're gaining, which is where the clarity pillar I showed you before, vision, and those clarity questions like, what do you want to create? What will you be getting? Of course, it's not a dead cert. You don't know for sure that will happen. But we never know what's going to happen. And focusing on the loss is going to keep you stuck and keep you frozen, basically, and freeze. So spend time thinking, what am I going to gain? And then being like, you don't need to work out the how, but just have that vision, have that vision of what you want to have. What will that give you? Like, what life can you want to create? And it will just help you from focusing on anything that creates fear. Number 2, not doing it alone. Get an accountability buddy, a peer, join a group, join a membership, get a coach, get a therapist as well. As much as you can, get support. I remember when I first became self-employed, I was doing it kind of alone. I had peers, like coaches I knew, but I was alone. No one was kind of looking in. And as soon as I joined a membership, I got a business coach, and I've got business mentor, business coach, and an accountability buddy. Oh my God, like suddenly the journey isn't as daunting. I feel supported. So get someone for sure. And then choosing bravery over confidence. So a lot of my clients, they just want to feel confident. And I do work, I work on confidence. So in one of the clarity pillars, I do strengths. So really taking stock of your achievements, which is especially good if you're changing careers. Like, you want to kind of just remind yourself of what you have achieved to give you a bit of that confidence boost. But don't wait to feel 100% confident to take any action. Instead, think of yourself as a hero. And a hero is, they don't feel confident, but they know they have to be brave. And bravery is acting despite fear. You don't have to wait for fear to go away. You're doing it despite fear, right? So focusing on, I'm not going to wait for confidence. I'm going to build my bravery muscle. I'm going to cultivate courage. And really just sometimes having that imagery of yourself as a hero and being like, that's what I'm doing, can really, really help. Okay, managing transition, committing to change. Oh, yes, that one. So like, how good is it that there's a step about that? Because the commitment to change is something that people sometimes miss. I've worked with people who move countries a lot, and they're like, oh, I don't know, should I do this, should I not? And then they move countries and they're like, was this the right thing, was this not? All of this is wasted time and indecision. So I always say commit. How you do that is, I'll tell you how I did it. So I was doing my master's, and I wasn't sure that I was going to be a good coach, or if that worked, if I could be self-employed, or if that was just going to work out. Obviously, I wasn't sure, but I didn't want to waste time being unsure and thinking, is it going to work out? Is just a waste of time? So what I did is I said, I am going to commit to doing this coaching thing for a year after I finish my master's, and I'm going to try. My aim was to make the money back, because obviously the master's cost money. So I was like, I'm just going to head down, be the coach for a year. And then after a year, if I don't like it, or if it doesn't suit me, at least I know I would have done everything I can to make it work. So give yourself a time frame whenever you're making change. and say, do you know what, I'm just going to give it my all. And it could be 2 months or something, 4 months. I'm going to give it my all. And then at the end of it, so have like a deadline where you review it. At the end of it, I'm going to review and say, okay, what is this working out or is this not? But don't indulge yourself with having two options. Be like, oh, I could just stay or go, because then it means you've got one foot in one place and one foot in the other, and you're not fully giving yourself to where you are. Experimenting with new conditions. So what's going to happen is, especially if you're changing careers or anywhere, you're going to leave a place where everything came easily to you. You might have been the one people go to. You knew where all the folders were saved. You knew how to, how to navigate Zoom, and the new place you're going to is Microsoft Teams or something else like that. You were great. Everything was happening everything felt easy in this place. When you get to a new environment, things are going to get harder. And what happens is you're going to be acutely aware of how hard everything is and acutely sensitive to other people around you in this new place, in this new environment. What you're going to subconsciously do is make them like, oh my God, they're amazing, I'm not. And so watch out for imposter syndrome creeping in. And don't dim your light, because you're going to think like, oh, can I even do this or anything? Just remember, you're new at the beginning. The beginning is always clunky, it's always awkward. It doesn't mean you're not good at this. Just for a bit, just enjoy the newness. You don't have to return to your level of knowing or level of, being on it. Leave space for your new identity to form. So this one is about, don't rush. If you were in your last job or in all your jobs, if you were someone who always volunteered to take on new projects or, always stayed until the last time, in the clarity piece, you would have, if you do answer those questions, and if you go through it, you will go through and answer, do you still want to do that? Do you still want to be the one that's like always the one people go to with problems? Do you still want to do that? Or do you want to play around with a new identity? Because if you're making a change, you're moving somewhere, you've got a chance to have a new identity. So maybe don't take on all the tasks. Who knows? Just for a while, leave space for your new identity to form, which means just being observing and saying, what do you want to be? What are you called to do? So don't go on to automatic. Crisis points. At one point, and this wasn't actually in the hero's journey, but it is what I notice with my clients, you're going to feel like they're not making any progress. But the progress you're making is like a butterfly in a cocoon. It's all internal. So don't undervalue the inner work that you're doing, because you're observing, you're learning, and you put yourself in new situations. There's so much that you're doing. What would help is if you keep a track of the progress. Journaling, oh my God, I swear by it. One easy one for you to do, and introduce you, is Monday, or whenever you want to do it. Monday, write down all your worries or anything else like that about the week. And that gives you a chance to address them and say, do I want to think like that? It gives you a chance to weed out the inner critic or catastrophizer or anything else. So you can journal and be like, what do I want to think? And then try and act upon it. So be like, you know what, I'm going to notice my inner critic this week, or I'm going to notice this. And then the following Monday, come back to it and see how it worked out. Because sometimes you'll see that you worried about nothing actually worked out really well, or you handled it, or it just all worked out. And that way you can at least learn. And next time your worries come up, your catastrophizing worries come up, you're like, well, hang on a second. I really worried about it last week, and then it just didn't happen. So just that kind of progress, Monday to Monday, sometimes journaling your thoughts, will give you, will show you the inner work and the progress that you are doing. Really, just journal is my answer, and trust the process. Okay, managing time, and I think I am managing time. I'm going to aim to finish in 4 minutes. And give 10 minutes for questions. So managing time, plot twist. I'm not actually managing about time. I'm not going to tell you about time. No, because it's not about time. We think we want more time, but it's actually more energy that we want. because you might have all of a day to do it, but if you're not focused or if you feel completely drained, you're not going to get things done, right? So it's not time you want, it is energy. I'm going to share a book with you that's going to look very outdated because it's quite an old book. So old that the websites that are in there, when they say, go to this website, they don't exist anymore. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this is a wonderful book, The Powerful Engagement, by performance coaches, basically. And they worked with athletes first on managing their kind of energy and engagement. And then they took it to the corporate world. And then they were like, oh my God, this is so much harder than working with athletes. And it's because athletes, they say, spend 90% of their time training for 10% performance in their year. And they have off season and they take breaks because recovery is part of the training process. Meanwhile, out in the corporate world, like, how many breaks do you take? Luckily, us here in Europe have about 4 weeks or like 28 days holiday, whereas in America it's 2 weeks. That's your off season. That's how much you can renew, or like a weekend, but you're still filling it in with things. So anyway, they found it really fascinating. They wrote this book to help people, everyday people who were bombarded with work to do and juggling family and all the other things like that, help them maintain their energy, manage their energy. And they said we have 4 sources of energy where we get energy from. So it's not just physical energy, it's not just health and working out. We get it from, the source we get is emotional, mental, and spiritual. And so what we have to do is, like in physical, if the more you put in, the more you get out. So if you do walk, take breaks, watch what you eat, then you get that energy back. And so if you put into these ones, you get it back. So for the mental one, the mental resource, so all of these are kind of, how he measures them is on strength and flexibility as well. So just like the strength with the physical energy. So with mental energy, we get it when we're focused. So we're not distracted. So if you want to give yourself more mental energy, do not toggle between tasks. No multitasking. It takes you 20 minutes to concentrate. So if you pick up your phone just to check a message, to get back into the same wavelength of concentration on that task will take you 20 minutes. So just put your phone in a different room and make sure that you are focused. Also, flexibility, mental flexibility, is learning to move between rational and logical. So not, the other, intuitive and logical. So if you're too much illogical, everything has to be, logical, make logical sense. And therefore, sometimes you might get stuck with life decisions when it calls for your sense of judgment, like your intuition. So being able to move around with those. Emotional connection, we get, relationships are where we get a lot of our energy from emotional. And being emotionally connected means spending time in relationships so they're not just transactional. So you're not just talking about, have you picked the kids up, or have you done this, have you done that? Like actually talking about things that matter so that we feel close and then we feel connected. And spiritual alignment is about spending time with your values. So really revisiting your values and making sure that you're living by them. Also with other spiritual connections that you have, spiritual practices. And also the other thing, the last one is, you see the graphs. You see the bottom graph and said, not this. Like we have this idea of like, we're going to wake up, sit, and our energy is going to be like this, and our concentration is going to be like this, and then we just power through. And it's like this big marathon. They say, don't plan for this marathon, plan from small sprints. We only have concentration for 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes, 180 maximum. After that, the quality of our thinking and our attention isn't as good. So taking those breaks. And you can see on the top of it, there's a big dip. That big dip for me, it's around 4 p.m. And it's in the book, they say it's for most people, that kind of 4 till 6, 4 till 5, that witching hour where you literally, that's it, you can't get much done. So plan for that during the day and plan something else. So have a walking conversation, make sure, for me, I'd rather have like not a client call. My client calls are like 11 up until 2, really 3 maybe. I don't plan them after that, and I don't plan like big cognitive loads over there. So plan your day according to these kind of dips, and make sure that you plan for recovery, because that is crucial to your energy and your focus. And it's good to have rituals. So we have a bedtime ritual, brushing our teeth. Right, there's our rituals that we do and don't even think about it. So the more rituals we can have in a place, the better. And one of the things they gave is like, as examples, like if you're a good manager, you'll probably have a ritual in place around giving feedback. Because giving feedback is something that people find really hard, you know. And so if you can find a way to make that element of your day easier, having a ritual, or you can use another word for ritual, a template to follow or something else like that. If you can have a set of thing that you can do, a ritual in place, then it just makes the renewal easier. And I use tennis as well as an example. And they saw that the difference between really good players and average players is the recovery rituals that they had in place, which was once they finish a game, like the best pros would have a ritual, like, I don't know, bouncing a ball or something, once they go back to the back line, but it gave them time to recover. So really small recovery breaks in place. All right, guys, we are nearly at the end. Summarizing, clarity, magic wand. Expect the swamp of despair whenever you're making change, but don't make it about you haven't done anything wrong. Trust the process, keep on taking steps. Become aware of your gremlins and put them down and note them down, and have a journaling practice so you can change them and work with someone one-on-one if you do want to change it. Don't do it alone. Get a coach, get a therapist, get a mentor, get an accountability buddy, someone. Commit to change, get that deadline in. You're like, I'm going to give it my all and then revisit it. And I want these things to be happening, and then I'll know for sure whether to continue or not. Don't neglect your energy sources, your relationships, your spirituality, all of that. Renewal is key. Okay, I'm going to answer those questions. And I will also want to hear, if you don't have a question, once I close this, I can actually see the chat. So I'd love to hear from you, your key takeaway. But before I do that, if you want to connect and keep in touch, the best place is my newsletter. You can also find me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Dina Grisham, pretty much for everything. Dina Grisham. If you want to work with me, I'd say book a call. It's a free call, or see my packages, work with me. But there are some packages that aren't on that page, so just best to book a call. And best place to start also is I've got the life and career audit. So if you think something's off but you don't know what it is, or you can't put your finger on it, then there's a little power hour, it's only £99, is you get pre-call questionnaire, power hour, and report. So that is one way of working with me. Now let me get to your I'm back. Hi. Let me get to your questions. But before I do, can you please put in the chat your key takeaways, like what really resonated with you? And then I can go in to, okay. Okay, someone said, how can we contact you, Dina? Then it's Dina Grisham. Go to my website, there's a book a call, or there'll be a website there on as well. Add me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty contactable. Thank you. Okay. Can you give an example of change that you went through and how did you approach it in a calm way? This is a question. Calm? No, I told you I was an overthinker. There wasn't. I guess it was that deciding to do my master's, and I was still scared about it, obviously, because I was I think it was about 30, and so all I'd known is working, and I really fell in love with positive psychology and coaching, and I was like, I think I want to do this. I was petrified in a way, but there was this inner calmness about me, because it was I thought, I have to do something different. I can't just, because what I was doing in my 20s was changing jobs all the time. So don't like this industry, change industries. And I just kept on doing that. And so I was like, well, I can't, in my mind, I was like, well, I can't continue doing that. That hasn't brought me happiness. I have to try and do something different. And I think it was just that, the clarity on the reason for doing it, like it kind of makes sense to try and do something completely different if the method before wasn't working. So that's kind of how I approached it. But I mean, wasn't completely calm. The other times where I've been more calm is when I've been working with a coach as well. And then just working with someone, like, for example, you know, when if you're about to go into a dark room, how anxious do you feel? Or like a dark garden because you've heard a noise. How anxious do you feel? And then if there was someone with you, how much less anxious do you feel? Like, it just reduces anxiety to have someone there. Thank you for asking that question. Mariana, what do you advise for someone that would like to make a career change, but there's a lot of anxiety around it? Get together, you two. One of them was an anonymous attendee. There is going to be a lot of anxiety. I will either work with me. I've got a group career clarity program that I do once or twice a year, and I'll be doing one next year. So get onto my mailing list. But otherwise, you gather information as much as you can. So what are you anxious about? Write it all down. And then, is there lack of information about something? So for a lot of my clients, sometimes they're like, well, I don't know if I'll be good at it. I don't know if how much you get paid. And it's like, well, find out how much you get paid in these things, and also try and reach out. Career change is an excellent networking opportunity, because you're going to be reaching out to people and asking them about their job, about their industry. So to lessen the anxiety is information and really speaking to people how to do it. Okay, done. Okay, and I've got. So I'm going to quickly answer Dora's. Any tips for recharging rituals when you only have 5 minutes? Lying on your bed without any devices. You can put in a 5-minute timer if you can, or just close your eyes. That renews it. Non-screen time, or have a walk. That does it a lot. Just no screen time helps you renew it. How can this is an interesting one. How can external pressure help you push you to do better? External pressure. No, I don't believe in that. It has to come from. So there's 2 types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And within psychology studies, the studies that have been done is, extrinsic motivation can only help like to a certain point. You can give people money up to a certain point, but then they'll just disengage anyway. Intrinsic motivation, when it comes from inside, that's the long lasting, that's what you want. So I don't believe that external pressure will help you. Maybe in the short term to get you over exams, or if you've got some kind of workout challenge that you're doing together. But in the long term, it won't help you because it's coming from someone else's demands, and it's not yours. And all we want is autonomy and mastery of our decisions and our fate. So it's not going to help you do that. You have to get that pressure from yourself. Okay. Who was my? I've got another. What is the role, both positive and negative, of social pressure? Again, like I would. Oh, we're at 11. Lucia. Okay, I'm just going to answer this one. Well, thank you so much for asking questions. But social pressure. I mean, there is. Okay, I think what I'm struggling with is the word pressure, because pressure is like that, and it doesn't help you. Inspiration. So if you're asking about things like someone else, you see someone else doing what you want to do, and that could be a positive kind of like a positive thing to keep you going. An inspiration where you're like, okay, do you know what? I want to be with them. The social pressure that's like, is it coming from other people or is it coming from you? Because I have a client who says like, oh my God, everyone around me is earning 4 times more than I am. And so in a way you can see that as social pressure, but she's creating that. And I'd say it's comparison right there, and not pressure, because there isn't any pressure. Her friends aren't giving her pressure to earn as much as they are. So that's just the kind of, that comes from inside of you. You have to make peace with where you are if you want to get to somewhere else. No one makes changes through fueled by anger or envy or comparison and things like that. So you have to have intrinsic motivation so that you are going at it alone. Right, so I'm a bit over time. I am right. There's a lot of questions, so I will say thank you, Dan. Yes, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to say thank you so much for attending and all these questions. I'm so sorry that I didn't get through to all of them, but email me or something, and I would love to speak to you one-on-one as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm popping up here to say thank you for joining, and if you have any more questions for Dina, please reach out to her, right, on LinkedIn, and she can get over your questions. We'll also follow up with some resources, and please don't forget to leave us feedback as well. The feedback form is in the chat. Us as Growth Tribe, we really appreciate feedback. Dina really appreciates feedback, so bad or good, good or bad, whatever kind of feedback you have, please let us know in the chat. And thank you for joining, and thank you for the great talk, Dina.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you guys for joining. Wonderful. Bye.
Bye.